Have I got something special for you guys today. This here is the Ironlak Ghetto Blaster cap. It's actually a fan cap, as you're probably able to tell, and what we're going to be doing here today is I'm going to first briefly tell you what little there is to know about this cap, and then we're going to be testing it out, doing some tags and some throw-ups, and really try and take advantage of the chisel effect you can get with this sort of fan cap. And if you really want to see this cap in action for real, after this video I'm going to be posting a video where I actually try and paint an entire graffiti piece using only this Ghetto Blaster fan cap. So this little cap here, I'll give you a good look at it, has been flying under the radar for quite a few years at this point. I was able to find it on the Ironlak site. I do believe it's still being produced because of that, but that being said, I couldn't actually find anywhere else where you could buy it. So maybe if someone else does know of an online store where you can still pick these up besides the ironlak.com site, maybe throw it in a comment so I can pin it or put it in the description so that everyone knows where they can pick up one of these beautiful caps, or a pile of them too. But as I was saying, these have largely been flying under the radar for several years at this point. Over 8 years ago, the Ironlak channel itself released a sort of demo video with soffles in it using the Ghetto Blaster cap. So that was shortly after they were released, I believe, which would have been well over 9 years ago at this point. But the one thing I do want to emphasize about this here Ghetto Blaster fan cap is that it does have a huge spray width. And I also just want to plant a bug in your guys' ear and say that in my opinion, I am feeling initially that this cap has more value than other fan cap or fan cap spray system, because this cap alone itself, you can get such a large width with it, and they don't cost too much more than normal caps would in general. At least they didn't when I was buying them 8 years ago. But anyway, what we're gonna do right now is throw down some tags, take advantage of this chisel effect you can get with the fan cap. These tags are going to be tags of subscriber names who have asked for hit-offs. So let's see what this thing can do. First thing is first though, I'm going to sort of buff this with a silver so we have one nice color to do some tags on with the black can. Not much, how are you? So we didn't need that buff to be good or anything, we just need it to be good enough that we can actually see what's going on with the black here and get a good feel for the lines that this puts down. And just to let everyone know, this here is a list of all the names of subscribers who have asked for hit-offs. I've told everyone I will get through them, but eventually it'll become more of like a lottery system where the names I choose are the names I choose, because you guys are outpacing me in terms of you're asking for more names to be put up than I can produce videos even. So, but for now, let's see. I'm going to show you what kind of lines this can put down, and then we'll do some tags. There's just two things here I want to mention about the lines here that we're getting. Obviously, there is some variability to be got with this cap, and you can get lines within 3 to 6 inches, I would say, for the width. And the only other thing I want to address is that the edge of these lines is very choppy. That is because we're using an Ironlak can, frankly. They've never had great valve systems. Just a quick note, to get a line as big as the one on the right side there, what you actually have to do is you have to really rock that cap back, just be pressing on the back end of it. That's how you get the widest lines there. For these tags, using a high output can, you really do have to move quickly. The calligraphic possibilities are really nice with this cap. And I would also emphasize that just due to the nature of the shape of how the paint is ejected from the can, you can actually blast the paint probably about a foot and still hit the surface quite nicely with that sort of chisel tip pattern, so that is quite useful for tags and whatnot. But don't be fooled by the shape of this cap. Using this cap will empty your cans fairly quickly, far more quickly than, say, a New York fat cap would. It's sort of right up there with like a cyclone cap or something like that. And something I want to show you guys quickly is just on this dang cam, because it's low pressure, it has a softer valve, so softer output, better atomization than an Ironlak can. Look at the difference in the atomization and the lines you can get here. Like, that's incredible. Way different. As with any silver, it's obviously really misty, but you're actually able to get a wider line because of that sort of softer valve system that atomizes the paint, spreads it a little better. So if you are using a lower pressure can that isn't specifically a silver, that has a softer output, then you're going to be able to get some even softer, bigger specifically lines, which is pretty cool. So now that I've thrown just a few tags up and you guys have gotten a bit of a feel for what this cap can do, what it's capable of, we're gonna throw down like a pretty decent sized throw up. Not because you would ever want to use these for an outline or anything. I'll use a different cap for the outline, but I want to test how good these are for fill-ins, as well as we'll see how quickly these empty a can of paint, and that's also something we're obviously going to be interested in. And at the end, I'll be making sure to tell you exactly what I think these caps are good for and what you, as a graffiti writer, will probably want to be using them for. So let's get to it. So the first thing you're going to notice with this Throwie is that the paint comes out quick. This cap has a large enough output that no matter what kind of spray paint you're using, it will lay down paint onto a surface fast. That's great for a Throwie type application, I do have to say. Secondly, this Throwie wasn't that big. I may have given you a bit of a wrong picture in the previous clip to this of how big it was going to be. Another thing I want to mention is I know the vertical fill-in I'm doing is a little bit weird here. It's probably a good time to mention that you can't actually swivel the part of the cap that's the fan to a vertical or a horizontal. What I usually do personally is do diagonal fill-ins, because that allows you to hold the can slightly diagonally so the mixing ball is sort of stuck in a corner, and it makes it a lot more silent and nice to work with. Also great for a Throwie application, I will say as well. And with a fan cap like this, what you could actually do is turn it just slightly diagonal, maybe at a 45 degree or something like that, so that you can hold the can diagonal and still do a perfect back and forth technique to do a fill-in like that horizontally for that same effect. That's just a personal tip that I do. Some of you might find it to be comfortable as well. As I said earlier, in the next video, I'll be doing a full graffiti piece using only the Ghetto Blaster fan cap for every single line of that graffiti piece. That'll be an interesting challenge. You can click on that video at the end. It'll be on screen or in the cards in the corner. It'll be out about 2 weeks after this video you're watching now. But right now, I want to answer the question, what do you as a graffiti writer really have a use for these for? And there's probably two good answers to that. The first is probably if you're a graffiti writer who loves to bring cans over, say, a mop or a chisel tip marker or something like that. These caps are great in that respect. That chisel tip effect offers you a lot of calligraphic possibilities, and they're great for tags. You can actually get a little bit higher up with these. The output, if you have a high output can, is high enough that you can actually send the paint probably about a foot higher if you're at a full reach, a foot higher than you can reach. And I'm sure I don't have to say this part, but I did say there's two really good things about this. These are great for high coverage, whether that be like filling in a huge piece on like a train or something like that, or if you're just wanting to do a background before you start doing a piece, sort of like I did here earlier when I buffed stuff out. This is a quick, easy way to do that, and personally for me, I love bringing these when I need to do that at a wall. I don't want to bring bucketed paint and, you know, a roller and all that jazz. It's just, it complicates everything. I like to have a backpack with paint and that's it, and these Ghetto Blaster fan caps sort of allow you to do that quite nicely and still have a background to work with. If anyone else has used these, the Ironlak Ghetto Blaster caps, I personally love them, but please put your opinion on them in the comments. Help everyone else out. The knowledge we can share together as a graffiti community is more than any one person could ever communicate in a video on the topic of it. So feel free to share your opinions in the comments. Check out the video where I'm going to try and do the challenge of making a whole graffiti piece with only the Ghetto Blaster cap. That'll be on screen now. I hope to see you over there. Until then, peace.